This is Toon Talk Weekly, episode 231. This week, Brad and I figure out what it would feel like to have a demigod living in our small town with us when we watch an episode of 2013's Golan the Insatiable.
Greetings, scrawny fools of the Oak Grove City Council. Thursday marks the Sex Moon Feast of all sex. I shall be staging a traditional death orgy, the bloodiest that any eyes have beheld, at the large gazebo at Tarnhill Community Park from, I guess 2 to 4 p.m., whenever people can make it.
Golan, we've been through this. Mackenzie B has already reserved the gazebo for her 9th birthday party.
What? You're laughably small, Mackenzie B. I accept your challenge.
You're gonna die, Mackenzie B.
The day just keeps getting better.
Where is that kid?
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday once again. That means it's time for another episode of the weekly cartoon podcast, Toon Talk Weekly. That's of course this show. Thank you once again for joining us to chat all about cartoons this week. I'm Jake Williams. I brought along my good buddy who does every single one of these shows with me, Brad Chmielewski, to talk cartoons once again. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I just feel like I just saw you.
Yeah, you were in town, so it's kind of strange that, it's like, oh, I was like, I'll see you Sunday, and you're leaving town. Oh, yeah, or I'll talk to you Sunday.
Definitely a quick trip, and then I think I mentioned on last week's show, I thought we'd find time to squeeze in a show while we were there, and turns out, like, with holiday parties and all that stuff, and work stuff was pretty busy, we just never even thought of it. So, but oh well. This is easier to produce for me, because I just sit at my house, and the files come to me. That's how it works. So, of course, welcome in, everybody. If you've never listened to the show before, every single week, Brad and I, for the last over 4 years now, it's kind of crazy, are checking out a new cartoon or a different cartoon we've never seen or had a chance to watch. Those are typically our favorite ones because it means we get to find things like, I think this podcast, I'm gonna let this podcast take credit for Brad's love of Steven Universe.
Yeah, I watched the new 5 episodes from this season on the Cartoon Network app because that's the only way you can watch them, and they were just okay. They felt like filler episodes.
Oh man,
still.
Is it like run its course?
No, I think they were just like setting it up. It felt like more just like these are the episodes that kind of help us get to where we need to go to next.
Gotcha. So they're trying to tell like bigger, like more deep stories, I guess. Maybe they needed that sort of primer episodes.
Yeah, to kind of make you like feel like it needed some feels, I think.
That's what, every time you talk about Steven Universe, I think about how cute and fun it looks. And I think the episode we watched on this podcast, which was like 100 ago or something, was just like a feel good whatever episode. It wasn't like questions about like existence and what life is and things like that. So
yeah, because we watched the episode where they were wrestling because you love wrestling.
Yeah, we did. I remember that one now. Sweet. I just remember some scene with some guy. He had a boat, but I think they like crashed it or somehow. I don't know. I completely forgot about the wrestling.
I think that was Onion's dad.
Oh, probably. There you go. But yeah, so this week we decided to pick a show that's man, I feel like I remember seeing the ads for this show, and it's one that just kind of went by the wayside, and I completely missed ever checking it out. It's called Golan the Insatiable. Brad, had you ever heard of this show?
No, I hadn't, but I don't really know much about the like ADHD kind of networky thing that they have.
Yeah, that's the kind of strangest part about this is that actually, so this show, Golan the Insatiable, was a Fox show, and it aired on Fox November 23rd, 2013, along with Lucas Brothers Moving Company. So around the exact same time on the Animation Domination programming block, that's kind of when this show came to be. It came out with one of the shows that I think has probably been our favorite of 200 episodes. Lucas Brothers was a great show.
Yeah, that was such a good show.
And seeing this show, knowing that it came out around the same time, I can see where they both... Maybe it's just an art style. Like Lucas Brothers is way less grungy. It's more like bright colors. And but the line work of some of the characters and the look of some things, like I could see why these shows are kind of similar, like coming out of the similar time. But Lucas Brothers has gone on to... I don't even know how many seasons Lucas Brothers has at this point.
Yeah, and Lucas Brothers does... They have a similar look, but it feels a little more polished. I don't know what it is, but it just does.
Oh, geez. So they only have 2 seasons, too. And actually, I don't know... I couldn't tell you... Oh, the show was canceled in 2015. So, geez. See, I feel like we just watched it and loved it. So, the funny thing is, I guess, that Golan the Insatiable suffered a similar fate. It only had 2 seasons and 12 total episodes. So... Apparently, being on Animation Domination means you might have a sweet show, but you also, doesn't mean you're going to get picked up for sure. But we've talked about before, I think a handful of episodes ago, where we kind of love these shows when you get a chance to see just bits of pilots or things people are putting together and these stories they want to tell, and you get bite-sized versions of it, and then maybe it goes on to whatever, 5, 6 crazy amount of seasons. So Golan the Insatiable, again, a 2013 cartoon aired on Fox. Created by Josh Miller, developed by Dave Jesser and Matt Silverstein. And the official premiere was actually January 11th, 2014. The very first episode is the one that we're talking about today, which is titled Ragin' Fun. And this was like the pilot episode. But what I found in a little bit of my research here is that Season 1 is 6 episodes, and therefore the other 6 are in Season 2. Season 1 is all the short 10 to 11 minute episodes that fit in like a tiny bite-sized chunk. Fox actually ordered the second season being 6 half-hour episodes, so they were longer. But they also added like celebrities to it. So Rob Riggle, who's a famous comedian, actor, ended up voicing Golan in the second season, whereas Josh Miller, the creator, does Golan in the first season. And the girl, Dylan, the main girl, the little goth girl in the show, was voiced by Aubrey Plaza in season 2. So they were like, we're going to do this half-hour show, but you need to put these celebrities in it. I don't know. It felt kind of weird. I did see some interesting forum posts. Like, I feel like this show could be a show that has a cult following. Not just because cults are kind of thematic with the show a little bit. But, like, I read a really long post about somebody really upset that they changed this, like, to the second season. They like the first season way better.
I feel like I've seen that girl too. Maybe it must have been in like promos or just something. Like, I don't know. She looked really familiar.
I thought that I had seen Golan before, and then I realized I think it's the skateboard company Toy Machine that I was thinking of that has like the helmet and like the spikes and stuff. But yeah, the girl character, like I think it's the way that like they made her look like a traditional goth girl, Dylan in this case. But then they added like that her makeup looks like tears.
Yeah, when she closes her eyes, they're just like super dark.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So the second season I think premiered in 2015, so it actually took like another year for them to produce that, and then the series got canceled after 2 seasons, so short-lived. So let's talk about this backstory. What can you, with a silly name like Golan the Insatiable, what can you kind of expect here? And this is kind of the summary I can best describe this, because actually, if you watch the episode we're going to talk about today, which is technically Season 1, Episode 1, they really don't dive into this, so you didn't know this background kind of going into it. So the background of Golan the Insatiable. Golan is a demigod warlord who reigned over the dimension of Gakruel with an iron fist before he was summoned to Earth by the goth daughter Dylan of the Beekler family in the town of Oak Grove, Minnesota. He stays with her after finding out that his acolyte, Kroong, has overthrown him for control of Gakruel during his absence. Besides learning the Earth customs and causing havoc in Oak Grove, Golan plans to build up his power so he can return to Gakruel and take revenge on Kroong. Brad, was any of that apparent to you, having seen the very first episode of Golan the Insatiable?
No, at first I thought it was just like an imaginary friend kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. If you watch, I checked out the second episode. There was a short title sequence. This episode, at least the version we found, doesn't have a title sequence on it, and it shows him like Golan in the realm of Gakruel, and he's like getting fed all these things. He's surrounded by beautiful women. He's like this overlord there. And then it shows him like getting kicked out of into the dimension and sent to Earth, basically. So I guess you could kind of figure it out there. But so then what they did, dude, was season 2, episode 1 is actually called Pilot, and it does this plot to like tell you what happens. So it's maybe it was because they're like, okay, it's Animation Domination. You're going to produce like short episodes with these scenarios and whatever. But then when they picked it up for full half-hour episodes, they're like, look, you got to do like the origin episode or people aren't going to know what's happening.
But people, you got to know what's happening. Yeah, people got to... We need some insight here. Please, just tell us.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It just... It kind of caught me off guard because I had read this prior to going to the episode, so I kind of knew it, but then like it doesn't come up at all. And yeah, I think you're probably more prone to think imaginary friend type of thing or something of the sort. I can't think of another good example of like what it would be. Just like a random monster that lives here and everybody's okay with it.
And, you know, we have like, the Fairly Odd Parents, so you kind of maybe think it's something like that at first. And,
Yeah, pretty much none of that. So it was kind of confusing. So our main characters, we have Golan the Insatiable, of course, the title character. So we do know Golan is a demigod warlord in this other realm, and he's now been sent to Earth. I would describe him as he kind of is a jerk. Like, he knows he's so good because he was this demigod in some other realm. And he's all into, like, they have all these crazy rituals. He's like a death metal kind of, like, gothic character. And so he tries to, like, do those things in Earth, but then he just turns out to just kind of be a jerk to people, is, like, really how it comes off. And also, I get the impression that, I'm not sure if this is true, I don't know that he has his powers, or whatever power he may have had, on Earth. It seems like he just is around. And he's a giant, strong dude, basically.
yeah, people fear him. He's basically just a badass.
Yeah. But he's also kind of a baby, too. So it's like a weird mix of characters. You have Dylan Beekler, of course, the main girl, the human of the Beekler family, the younger daughter who's a goth, who is misunderstood. And then you have the rest of her family, Carol, Richard, Alexis, and then Alexis's boyfriend, Keith Knudsen Jr., who comes up in this episode. And they're all basically like the nicest people. Her parents are like super nice. Her dad is super polite and kind to everyone. Her mom seems to have like a little bit of a like, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't want to call it like dangerous side, but she's like looking for something else. Like her life maybe is a little boring and she kind of wants some more excitement.
Oh yeah, and she's banging him.
Yeah, so. That's the other thing. So, and then Alexis is just like the typical, her older sister is just typical like teeny bopper, like kind of ditzy girl. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, so let's talk about an episode of Golan the Insatiable. These are the main characters you're going to come across. There are a handful of repeating characters. I think one character I noticed in the first 2 episodes is the mayor, comes up a couple of times, but he's not exactly crazy important in this episode. But set yourself up for what would happen if you were in small town Minnesota and this demon from some other realm suddenly is living in this town with you. But it's also a comedy, like a kind of raunchy comedy sort of thing. So that's what you can expect from Golan the Insatiable. Here's season 1, episode 1, entitled Rage and Fun of the series. And remember, there was a backstory, but it doesn't get brought up here. We actually meet Golan in the very first scene of the episode when we're at it's like a town hall meeting, right? And they're going over, okay, this old lady's really mad. She has 8 photos of this stop sign that has been rammed into by cars. And the motion is like, how many votes can we get to straighten out this stop sign? Like real town issues here. That's kind of what's going on. But in the middle of people voting unenthusiastically, this is when Dylan walks in with her iPod rather. Sorry, I forgot iPods were a thing. That's why I didn't even know the word.
Yeah.
She's got her iPod playing some like death metal ritual type music. And she's carrying this flag, and it's the entrance music of Golan the Insatiable, who then walks in and can only be described as, look, dude, I know he's like a big demon from another realm, but he's just really like a giant naked dude. It's kind of what he is. He's got these wristbands with like spikes on him. He does have the horns. He's got a crazy weird looking like nose, but he's just wearing like a thong. I don't know. Yeah. He's a weird character. But he bursts in to say that it goes up to the podium and starts saying that there's this ritual coming up and this comes around all the time, so we're going to host this orgy. And he's like making all these demands, but then he ends it with like, I don't know, you can probably show up at like 2 or 4 or whatever works for people. He gets into an argument with a little girl because it's like, oh, she actually booked the gazebo for her 9th birthday party. It's just like I don't know how to quite describe, like there's like some metal feeling to the things he wants to do, but everybody in this town is so quaint and nice, and they just put up with him that it's like, no, man, my daughter's birthday party was then. You can't like beat up a bunch of kids then. That's not allowed. It's like the nicest way to shrug off a demon from actually doing this stuff. And there's a great end to this scene where they get denied their use of the gazebo, and Golan just walks off, but he had this like super heavy battle axe that Dylan had to like slowly drag all the way down the hallway, which was pretty great.
Right, and then the scene didn't matter.
No, it didn't. It's like the way to introduce you to the character, I guess. But that's so weird.
I was like, okay, we're setting it up here. I get it.
So we're a fifth of the way through this first episode ever of this series, and I know nothing about why or who this guy is. But again, maybe it's the format. Maybe it was just that it was premiering on a kind of variety show sort of thing. So, and so we get the sort of like thread that will be the rest of the episode, which is Alexis's, the older sister's boyfriend, Keith, drives up and picks her up, and they drive off, and he's got a license plate that says bad boy, and he's got like a little soul patch. He's like the typical, what you would imagine a high school badass was, at least when I was in high school, that this guy might think he's pretty cool. And you get the thread that like Golan sees him picking up all these girls and thinking like he's not that cool. He thinks he's a bad boy. And that's sort of where this story is going to end up going. We do get a small scene here where the parents come in, and it's funny that they have like this ritual like throne built for Golan, and
yeah, just very Game of Thrones like. Mm-hmm.
But it's just like in her bedroom. And just to talk to Golan, I like that the daughter makes the father here actually say like kneel down and then you can talk to him basically.
But the mom's like, man, you're such a wimp doing that in our own house.
Yeah, like don't make him do that in the own house. But he's like, the dad is the biggest pushover in this show.
State your business, peasants!
Dylan, just let me in. I gotta talk to Golan.
Then kneel before Golan, father. Get down.
Sorry, Dylan, but your father is never kneeling down before anyone in his own house.
Come on, Dad. Bow to Golan. Come on, you're wrecking it.
Carol, it's fine. It's easy. Just let me do this.
Oh, please, have some dignity, Richard.
You may now parley with Golan the Insatiable. Watch your step. The carpet's bunched up right there.
Oh, thanks, man.
Richard. Hello, Carol.
Golan.
I guess, but most all dads are in every cartoon and every TV show. They're either a big dumb jerk or they're a pushover.
Yeah, okay.
It's super
Binary,
super stereotypical. So,
yeah.
No matter if it's a cartoon or TV show. So
yeah, it's kind of fun. I think I just noticed it in the second episode I watched too, that he was like really not present, and I've actually heard that he's really not even around that much in the second season. So,
okay.
Then you get this fun little scene that doesn't necessarily have to do with the actual plot of like Keith and the boyfriend kind of thing, but it's one of these scenes where like, what would a demon do in our realm if he had to deal with regular things like TiVo and DVR? Right, so he wanted to watch Top Chefs, but actually it's Top Chef Seattle. It's a different show, so you didn't record it. It's gone.
Totally different show, yeah.
I believe that scene even ended with him not even be able to figure it out, and before they left to go check on and see that Keith wasn't like, or was being nice to Alexis or whatever. They saw a commercial for the water park they were going to, and they thought they should go there and teach Keith a lesson, basically. But there's some punchline at the end of this where he's like, well, fine, I'm going to go do this, but you could just watch Top Chef's Texas from 5 years ago if you really want to. So just kind of a funny thing. There's also lots of doorways in the house, and then anywhere he exits, that it's like he smashes through the door. So even if you close the door fully, there's like an outline, a silhouette of where his horns were. Mm-hmm. So there's just funny little details like that I think you can pick up. And dude, actually, I've paused a few times on frames where Dylan's eyes are closed. Man, it's freaking creepy with the tears, and it's all black and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Gross. So they end up going to the water park, and of course they immediately spot Alexis, and it's like, oh, who would have thought that we also were at the same water park as you on the same day? This is crazy. And Golan wanted to do this mission of like, I'm going to go beat him up or whatever, but that was before he said that Golan was cool. So now Golan's talking to Dylan like, listen, I was going to do this, but I actually can't because that was before he said we were sweet, so you can't ride this ride because you're not tall enough. Maybe you should just go, like, wait somewhere or whatever.
Is it true you were like king of the dimension you came from?
He was more than a king. He was a god lord, commander of all that was seen and unseen.
That is so hot.
You should totally hang with us, Golan. You too, little boy.
Yes, the sex of human children is easily mistakable. Good one, Keith.
What the hell, Golan? I thought you wanted to kill Keith.
That was before he wanted to hang.
But he's a crab face.
Actually, Keith and I have a lot in common. We're both bad boys. You wouldn't understand.
Yeah, I mean, then that was basically enough. And it felt like one of those weird moments where, like, you ditched one group of friends or one friend because, like, someone you looked up to thought you were cool. So you're like, oh, I'll do this different thing.
Right.
And so you kind of know how this is going to end because it typically does with, here's what I thought was happening, and then I'm sorry I actually left my actual friend behind, more or less.
Yeah, like I've seen it play out, so.
Yeah. But we do get a great scene where he goes down the water slide. There were also all these photos he took on the way down. It was like a big entrance, basically. But then we can't find Dylan. Dylan's gone missing. So they sort of go looking for her. He at one point picks up, Golan here picks up a drink tar, which is a hilarious idea. I've never seen this. It's like a drink that you wear over your like guitar and drink out of it.
Yeah, it must be real, but it was pretty funny.
Like a park idea or something. He gets on the megaphone trying to ask where Dylan is. He can't find her anywhere. It's not until Keith yells that, hey, Golan, over here. Apparently Keith has found Dylan, yet Golan jumps into action and assumes, oh, you had her the whole time. I thought we were friends.
Yeah, basically, you're a jerk.
And basically beats the shit out of him I don't know that he died. I don't think he died.
No, because he makes the joke towards the end. Like,
yeah.
Oh, he can't fit, beaten to a pulp and now in a coma, might not wake up on his license plate.
Yeah, he can't fit that on a vanity plate. Yeah. So he basically beat the shit out of him like he kind of thought he was going to. And I guess there was a weird scene here before they put him in the ambulance, by the way, with the drink. He's like, he had the drink tar and he says, oh, just to stay a step ahead for you ambulance drivers, I put his penis in this drink thing on ice so it's cold. And he's like, no, he still has his penis. I don't know what that is. So just there's these weird like off kind of like dirty jokes in this show.
I guess, but like that one, I don't know. They feel forced. They're like, we need something like we need something gross. Carl, what do you got?
Right. Yeah. No. Exactly. Yeah, and then they're around the table in the end of the episode laughing about like, no, I guess he's not such a bad boy now. Her. Mm-hmm. And that was it, man. It was kind of like a welcome to the world with Golan in it.
Yeah,
and not much in the way of actually like describing or laying it all out for you. So yeah, season 1, episode 1 of Golan the Insatiable, rage and fun. Brad, did you have a rage and fun time watching the show? What do you think?
It's fine. It does feel like that, like late night, Saturday night, Sunday night kind of cartoon where it's just kind of on in the background while maybe you're doing other things. Like it's not hard to watch. It's not like deep. It's kind of just, it feels like you could draw it no matter how good of a drawer you are. Like I could make this show.
Yeah, it had an interesting style. Like it felt weirdly like some sort of dark comedy sitcom sort of thing. But it also happened so fast because it's such a short episode. There were a lot of like cool design patterns and stuff. Even though the show was it's like 4 years old now, but very dark and like gray, like kind of washes over stuff. There were like some cool patterns on like fabrics and houses and things. Like there was some cool design stuff they were doing. But yeah, man, I just kept having this feeling that I was watching like demonic Family Guy or something. Like Golan just reminded me of like a demon version of Peter Griffin who's just like a jerk to people. but he's also like the biggest baby in some moments. I'm not really sure what it is, but I also kind of liked it. Like, I'm not gonna say I love the show. The thing that bugged me was kind of, I think you brought it up a few minutes ago, was that there were moments that just felt a little forced, and so those sort of things kind of turned me off, I guess, about it. The second episode was like Dylan gets chickenpox as a kid, and so she was like worried, but her mom tells her, no, you're supposed to get him as a kid. So she invites all of her enemies to her birthday party so that she can give them all chickenpox, and then she tries to build this like portal to get Golan back to his realm, and it actually works, but it sends 2 kids away. Like, it's kind of...
No, that's pretty funny. Okay.
There was also, you learn more about the mother potentially banging Golan, because she hosts like other mothers to read fiction she's written, like 50 Shades of Grey type fiction of her being with Golan. So it's not an undertone as the show goes on.
Okay.
But being that the show's so short, I kind of want to see what else happens. It sounds like maybe it doesn't wrap itself up because it got canceled so soon after. But
yeah, like I said, it's very easy to watch. Like, 10, 12 minutes. So
yeah,
you could just have them on and probably be done with them before you even blink.
Right. And I kind of agree with you, man. Like, if it's like that kind of show that if I was just up and my TV was on at 12:30, I would just watch this. Kind of thing. It has that kind of vibe. So, interesting show. I saw that it was around the same time as Lucas Brothers, so I was like, all right, let's see what the other thing was, because we clearly liked Lucas Brothers so much. I know different creators, but
yeah.
But the Animation Domination stuff typically is pretty great too. I think that's where we found Axe Cop too. I think it might come out of that.
Oh yeah, you might be right.
So yeah, well, cool. Let's get out of here. It's fun checking out a brand new show. Brad, where can people find out more about you when you're not watching Toon Talk Weekly?
So you can follow me on Twitter. It's @brad, and then my blog is digitalhitchhiker.com.
I said stop watching. I don't know how often you're watching it. Stop recording. Recording show. Brad's like, I'm only 100 episodes in. I gotta stop recording these so I can listen to the rest of them.
I know, yeah. Oof.
Yeah. You guys can follow me on Twitter @Jacob Williams, and of course we're all over social media as the show as well, @Toon Talk Weekly on Twitter, Facebook.com/Toon Talk Weekly. We're over on Google Plus as Toon Talk Weekly as well. Our email, toontalkweekly@gmail.com, is the main hub if you want to send us any shows that you're liking right now. Maybe there's more about Golan we should watch, because there's only so many episodes. If you guys have a favorite, let us know. I'd be happy to check it out and report back. Not that I'm like the be-all, end-all, but I just want to check out more cartoons. And finally, the website, toontalkweekly.com, the main hub for the show. You can find any and all episodes over there, including all the new video episodes we do, which you can check out over on YouTube. If you find them in the main post on the homepage, you guys can head over to YouTube, hit subscribe button, and help us get that vanity URL so I don't have to send you step-by-step to find it.
Right, you just say YouTube/Toon Talk or whatever we end up with.
But we're the only one called like Toon Talk Weekly, I think, around there. So it's not hard to find on YouTube. It's pretty simple, I think.
Okay.
And I think I think we're at a weird point where all video episodes I've posted are available, which doesn't always happen. There's always these weird, like, stupid copyright things, and sometimes they take a couple days. I had one take like a couple months, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that video episode's up now. Cool.
So finally, they just maybe like, okay, you are legit making just content that you're not stealing.
Yeah, maybe. I think, dude, at this point, my like file and appeal thing isn't a text document, and I just copy it. I'm like, well, same reason I didn't need that, so it's kind of funny. So, cool. That's gonna do it for this week's episode. Things are gonna get a little bumpy for the holidays, I think, but guys, we should still have an episode for you every single Tuesday. We haven't missed one yet, so we don't plan on that at this point. But next week's show, we're gonna check out a Disney show. I can't remember if it's Disney or Disney XD. It's called Wander Over Yonder. This is a character that I feel like I've seen a lot and never bothered to check out the show, so I think it's time.
Yeah.
So join us next week. We'll talk about an episode of Disney's Wander Over Yonder. It's going to do it for this week's episode of Toon Talk Weekly. We'll be back next week with another cartoon.
Take care.
To learn more about the show, visit toontalkweekly.com or follow us on Twitter @ToonTalkWeekly.